How does crypto in super get passed on to beneficiaries in a will, or is it completely separate?
Well, like I said, crypto generally is treated like any other asset for legal purposes, for now at least. But assets that sit inside super funds, there are different rules around what happens with super. So take a step back. When you write a will, the assets that become part of your estate, the assets that flow in under your will to become part of your estate, are the things that you own legally in your own name. Things that you've got inside your super fund, whether it's an SMSF or a public offer fund, doesn't matter. You don't legally own the assets inside the super fund because the trustees of the super fund are the legal owners of it. Even if it's you anyway, because it's a self-managed fund, it doesn't matter. They're legally separate. So all those assets inside your super fund are dealt with differently than under a will, the assets that you own personally in your own name. So what that means is that there's a different process when somebody passes away about what happens to your superannuation assets. So there's a thing called the death benefit, which is the value of your account in your super fund plus any insurance payouts. So a lot of people have insurance inside their super fund. So if you get a payout from insurance, the insurance payout plus your account balance together make up what's called the death benefit. Now, your death benefit, generally speaking, has to be paid out of the super fund when somebody passes away. It can be paid out often fairly quickly. In easy terms, it can be cashed out and paid out almost straight away in a lot of cases. There are some tax rules depending on who gets the money about whether that money is taxed or not. So if the death benefit goes to your spouse, there's no tax. But if the death benefit goes to an adult child of yours, it is going to be taxed. So these get sort of complicated issues around what happens with all of that. There is an option to say, I want my death benefit to go back in with my will and be dealt with as part of my estate. But you need to make what's called a binding death benefit nomination to the trustees of your super fund, which is basically an instruction you give them about what you want to have happen with your death benefit when you pass away. And one of the options is that you can direct it to come back in under the will. And one of the reasons why we might do that is, let's take a scenario where somebody's created a will and they've set up a testamentary trust because they want the trust to hold the assets for their children and their grandchildren and future generations. And they want the super money to come in and be a part of that as well. So we might direct the super money to come in under the will for that reason. That's one example. So there are options around how that all gets dealt with. And that's all part of the estate planning conversation we have with people when we say, what are the assets you've got and what structures are they held in and what's going to happen with those when you pass away? So, it gets a bit technical, and I hope I haven't sort of lost people in all of the detail of all of that. But it is an important conversation to have with your solicitor, your accountant, your super fund around, well, what will happen when I pass away? So definitely important to discuss.